Anti-ICE protests broke out today right here in New York City. Arrests outside Columbia University after protesters blocked traffic for about an hour, demanding the Ivy League school declare itself a, quote, sanctuary campus against ICE. Meanwhile, in Minneapolis, protesters there have been setting up roadblocks, checkpoints, barricading off streets, all in an attempt to keep ICE agents at bay.
We are literally creating a place that we know who's coming and going in and out of our neighborhoods.
In the middle of the road at 32nd and Cedar Avenue, a makeshift roadblock turned this intersection into a roundabout. Cars slowed as drivers noticed, some honked, others asked questions, and one man brought food for the people standing watch. But Minneapolis police stepped in, clearing the roadblock. Residents say the roadblock was necessary.
We need to keep our neighbors safe, so we will be doing this again.
All right, Jesse, Greg is desperate to talk about Kyle Wagner, who was arrested in Minneapolis today, but we're going to start right here in New York City. You're going to have to hold that thought.
Thanks.
You're welcome. What's going on at Columbia? It's my alma mater.
It is?
Full disclosure.
Wow, that figures.
Only took you a few minutes to see.
Excuse me, it figures. It was. I will tell
mess.
you. I will tell you one thing. There was no anti-Semitism on that campus when I went there. The school went out of its way to create an entire program called the School of General Studies, intended to recruit non-traditional students that was made up of like 75% Israeli students who started college later because they had to serve military service before they came here, and the program was geared towards that.
That's what non-trads are. They're 25 plus.
Things have changed.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I wish we had mandatory military service. Greg would have served. He would have understood what it would have been like to hold a weapon and do push-ups. Maybe had his head shaved. But
Why is everybody picking on me?
because you're an idiot, Greg, and you look like you belong in a catalog for sheep.
I was going to say, I'm picking on you because you're wearing mohair.
More problem.
Are we on television right now?
I don't know, man. You guys are taking the show down.
Yeah, I mean, it can't get any lower than it's been in a long time. The Columbia situation, it feels sad because it used to be a great school and you used to want to send your students there. But now there's this hardcore, radical, hostile faction that has destroyed the reputation of the university. And that's why a lot of parents are now sending their kids to the S.E.C. because even if it's an Ivy, you don't want to go anywhere near this place because some of these women are actually dangerous. Yes, there are some great professors. Yes, there's some bright kids there. But there is a hardcore group of women there that are making everyone's lives miserable. And I wish I could help them. I wish I had the time to help them. It's a big time commitment to sit them down and explain the definition of patriotism, what it's like to love another person. They don't love men. They don't love America. And these are lost souls. And sometimes I wish they could find Jesus. Sometimes I wish they had a boyfriend. Other times I'd maybe suggest exercise or having a drink. But these are things that we've now moved from an actual almost teetering into sending in the National Guard to hangers on. Now these are women that are playing dress up. This is a fantasy. They are now pretending to be Border Patrol agents. Because if you have a sanctuary city or neighborhood, they're now enforcing a border and have checkpoints about who they can let in and who they can't let in. I don't think they understand the irony of what's going on, but it's become now a little pathetic. And I feel sorry for these people, which is why we're going to be taking our show on the road. Jesse Waters Primetime will be going to Minneapolis next week.
Come on.
Wonderful.
Why don't you believe me?
No, I do, but you're supposed to only promo yourself in the last block.
Oh, no, we promote ourselves constantly on the show.
Kaylee, what do you make about these sort of, I mean, I hesitate to call them vigilante, right? Because that infers some kind of violence. I don't know what these people who are setting up the barricades are doing, but it is certainly a more aggressive tactic, more in line with things that we saw in Seattle a few
It
years
is,
ago.
yeah. And you're in good company. I went to Harvard Law School, so we've had our fair share of protests. Still, our fair share of acrimony with the
Legally
administration.
Blonde, based on your experience.
Ooh, I'll take that. But look, what I make of it is this: the left has a problem. I think conventional wisdom is that the right is on their back foot on the issue of immigration, and yes, there's polls that people can point to. But when I look beyond the polls and just use common sense, the left has a problem. Look, the left could take a victory lap now. They could say ICE is out of Maine. Senator Susan Collins spoke with the administration. They're out of Maine. They've been winded down in Minnesota, 700 agents out. Tom Homan's taken over. They could say we've gotten wins, and now it's time to move forward to the midterms. But they're not doing that. You have these protests happening. You have arrests. You have people laying down in roads. And the next 10 days are going to be very telling, because in about 10 days is when that DHS funding deal expires. And there is a wing of Chuck Schumer's party that is saying, we want the cessation of ICE operations entirely. And Chuck Schumer's internal polling, it's been widely reported, shows that while their base is critical of ICE, why most Democrats are critical of ICE, they do not want abolishing ICE, but they have a base that's demanding it. And this is a political problem going into the midterms.
Kennedy, another problem that people are picking up on here is amid the nationwide scaled protests, there are a lot of high schools that are encouraging students to do these walkouts. And a lot of them that are participating the most, turns out, are doing abysmally academically.
I think you're talking specifically about North Central in Indianapolis and Roosevelt in Chicago, where the English proficiency and literacy rate is around 24%. Math proficiency, not doing a lot better there. It's around 7%, 7-8% at both schools. And absenteeism at the Chicago school is around 70%. So they really need to invert some of those scores if they want to see some academic progress. That's me as a layperson giving them a little bit of education advice. What they really don't need to be doing necessarily is letting kids out of school and encouraging them to protest when they already have such rampant absenteeism. What they could do is have students talk about this in a civics class or an AP history class, and they can have discussions about this. They could also be forced to take the opposite side of what they believe and try and argue it from the government's perspective. Sometimes when you do that, it actually bolsters your arguments. Unfortunately, these educators and administrators, they're so hung up on being liked, like these mayors are in places like Seattle and Minneapolis and Portland, that they are being led by the mob. It's no different in these high schools. And in the process, instead of educating them, they're doing them a massive disservice.
Greg, now you can finally talk about Kyle Wagner.
I don't know who you're talking about, to be honest.
The guy who was arrested in Minneapolis.
I want to touch on what Kennedy's saying, because I think that this is the scariest part of this whole phenomenon. We just caught on, and we knew, but America kind of caught on that the college campuses were the ground zero for anti-Western, anti-American activism. So what happened? They moved it up to high schools. You start having these walkouts, and there's this indoctrination going on where they're teaching kids at an early age to become long-term organizers. So they get swallowed up by the chants, they fall in love with the attention, they get to do speeches, they are no longer, it's not just about classroom stuff, they're no longer curious about life. Like to them, this is so much more interesting than any hobby or any musical instrument or any language that they could learn. So it actually, it's funny, we've talked about the trans thing. Those were the body snatchers. Now it's the brain snatchers. They're going after these kids and they're intercepting them before they ever get to make a decision about their lives. And it used to be when your kids went to college, you would go, okay, this is a phase, but what happens if it's in high school? The Columbia Sanctuary thing is interesting because, they still get $1.1 billion from the government. So for projects, education, infrastructure, just take it away. If you don't want to act like a normal person, we're not going to treat you like a normal person. Pull all that money. I think I could get from Jesse that he's bored by this topic.
How did you know?
Because you were so. But the point is, what you're showing is that it's because the agitators themselves have become boring. They've turned into one long sound. It's like somebody who is laying on the horn, And it's like this non-conscious thinking. It's just somebody laying on the horn, and everybody's tired of it. And I go back, I said it to you yesterday, the agitator only has one function, and that is to disrupt. The issue itself is irrelevant. But the people that you target, whether it is an ICE agent or somebody who's running a yoga studio, they have all these functions that they got to deal with. So it's really easy to screw them up just by laying on the horn or screaming. It's a single function action like a car alarm. These are human car alarms, and that's why you're bored. And that's why you secretly love me, Jesse.
I do love you. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.